Last week, I left you with the promise that I would share with you the tale of a certain Captain Edward Hamilton and the cutting-out expedition that made him famous. Ever a man of my word, I shall today tell you that story, but in order to do so, I must first set the scene. The year was 1797, and the British fifth-rate frigate HMS Hermione was patrolling the Mona Passage, a narrow strip of water between the islands of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. Hermione was not a happy ship, quite the opposite in fact. Her captain, Hugh Piggott, was a brutal and tyrannical officer. He was often in the habit of ordering the last man down from the rig after working aloft flogged, an unfair and unnecessary practice that singled out the yardarm men, whose stations were furthest out on the yards. On the night of September 10th, Piggott once again gave this barbaric order, and in their haste to reach the deck and avoid punishment, 3 young topmen fell to their deaths. Horrified by the needless deaths of their shipmates, the rest of the topmen objected, and were themselves flogged for their trouble. The following night, a contingent of the ship's company, determined no longer to bear such treatment, took matters into their own hands. Drunk and thirsting for revenge, they hacked Captain Piggott and 8 other officers to death, throwing the mutilated bodies into the sea. Realizing what they had done, and terrified by the certain prospect of being captured, court-martialed, and hanged, the mutineers sailed the Hermione into the port of La Guaira and handed her over to the Spanish. Now, there was at that time, and in nearby waters, a Royal Navy officer by the name of Edward Hamilton, captain of HMS Surprise. Shocked by news of the mutiny, Hamilton took it upon himself to recapture Hermione. He addressed his crew in a rousing speech, declaring, "I find it useless to wait any longer. We shall soon be obliged to leave this station, and that frigate will become the prize of some more fortunate ship than Surprise. Our only prospect of success is by cutting her out this night. I shall lead you myself." They knew they would not have an easy time of it. Hermione lay at anchor under the guns of 2 Spanish shore batteries, mounting a combined 200 guns. Not only that, but she was packed to the gunwales with Spanish soldiers and sailors, nearly 400 in all, while Hamilton had only about 100 men. Hamilton knew that to have any chance of success, they would have to cut Hermione out. That is, they would row in close in 3 small boats and board the frigate, taking her crew by surprise. Unfortunately, his boats were spotted during their approach, and the Spanish opened fire. It was, however, too late to turn back, and Hamilton and his men pressed on through the barrage of musketry and cannon fire. Upon boarding the frigate, the fighting was intense, and the outcome seemed uncertain, but at last the Spanish captain was taken prisoner, and the rest of the crew quickly surrendered. Still under withering fire from the shore batteries, Hamilton's men maneuvered the Hermione out to sea, finally sailing out of range of the Spanish guns. When the smoke cleared, 120 Spanish sailors lay dead, and another 100 were wounded. Hamilton himself lost not a man killed, although there were 12 injuries, more than 10% of his initial force. Hamilton had little to say about his astounding victory, noting only that every officer and man on this expedition behaved with an uncommon degree of valor and exertion. Naval historian William James struck a more congratulatory tone in The Naval History of Great Britain, Volume 2, writing, "It is impossible to do justice to Captain Hamilton, the gunner, Mr. Maxwell, and the first boarders from the pinnace. They were unsupported for more than 10 minutes, and this gallant handful of men succeeded in possessing themselves of the quarterdeck. The history of naval warfare, from the earliest time to this date, affords no parallel in this dashing affair. It was no surprise, no creeping upon the sleepy unawares. The crew of the frigate were at quarters, standing to their guns, aware of the attack, armed, prepared, in readiness, and that frigate was captured by the crews of 3 boats, the first success being gained by just 16 men. Captain Hamilton was knighted for his part in the undertaking, and as for Hermione, well, she was returned to naval service, now bearing the fitting new name, HMS Retribution.